My beloved child, wait, listen, pause right here for a heartbeat, because something subtle and powerful is moving toward you, and if you rush past this moment, you'll miss the signal hidden inside it. You didn't open this by accident. That's the first thing to understand. In a world flooded with noise, this moment chose you. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, like a tap on the shoulder when your mind was elsewhere. And that's exactly how important messages arrive. Never shouting, always inviting. There has been a ripple in the air lately. A shift. Conversations about the future, about intelligence, about what kind of human thrives next. And somewhere in that conversation, between ambition and awareness, your name exists. Not spoken aloud, not written on a screen, but implied, considered, felt. What if the announcement wasn't a sentence, but a direction? Think about how visionaries speak. They don't point at people. They describe patterns. They don't predict individuals. They define trajectories. And when someone like Elon Musk speaks about the future, he's not talking about machines or rockets alone. He's talking about who is ready to rise with them, who can adapt, who can think beyond the obvious, who can stay awake while others scroll past. Stay with me for a moment longer. This matters more than it sounds. You felt it, haven't you? That quiet pressure inside your chest. Not anxiety, anticipation. A sense that you're meant to understand something others overlook. That your curiosity isn't random. That your questions are sharper than most. This isn't ego. It's alignment. Here's the part most people miss. Announcements don't always come as news. Sometimes they arrive as recognition. As a realization that the future is not waiting for permission, it's waiting for participants. And you? You've been preparing without knowing what you were preparing for. Every late night thought. Every moment you felt out of place. Every time you wondered why conventional paths felt too small. These weren't distractions. They were calibrations. Like tuning an instrument before a performance no one has announced yet. What if this moment changes your entire path? Not by adding something new, but by revealing what was already there. Don't rush to label this. Don't try to explain it away. Just notice how your attention sharpens when we talk about possibility instead of limitation. Notice how your breath slows when you imagine a future that actually needs you. You might miss the turning point if you treat this like entertainment. Because this isn't about watching. It's about recognizing yourself in a larger story that's already unfolding. There's a reason the title felt personal. There's a reason you're still here. And there's a reason this feels unfinished. Before you go, hear this line carefully. The future doesn't announce itself to everyone. It whispers to the ones who are ready to listen. Stay close. The next part will connect the dots you didn't even know you were collecting. My beloved child, hold on, slow your breath for just a second, because what I'm about to say may feel strangely familiar, as if you've known it long before hearing the words. Here's where the secret sharpens. When certain thinkers talk about the future, they're not predicting gadgets. They're mapping mindsets. They're quietly separating those who consume the future from those who co-create it. And hidden inside recent conversations, between lines about innovation, responsibility, and awareness, is a subtle acknowledgement. The next era belongs to people who can think independently without losing their humanity. That's not common. And that's why this feels personal. You live in a time where information is everywhere, yet clarity is rare. Most people are overwhelmed, distracted, pulled in 1,000 directions. But a small group, very small, feels an opposite pull. Instead of noise, they sense a signal. Instead of confusion, a challenge. Instead of fear, a question. What am I meant to build, understand, or protect? That question has been echoing inside you, even if you never framed it that way. Here's the surprising part. The announcement isn't about selection, it's about readiness. About who can hold complex ideas without becoming cynical. Who can imagine powerful tools and still ask ethical questions. Who can move fast without losing their inner compass. This is why your curiosity feels different. Why you're drawn to big ideas, future timelines, and uncomfortable truths. Why shallow motivation never satisfied you. You weren't meant to just follow trends. You were meant to understand them, and then go one layer deeper. Wait, let that land. Because if you rush, you'll miss what this is really pointing to. There's a moment approaching, not dramatic, not public, where people like you will be asked, implicitly, to choose how conscious you want to be. To stay asleep and comfortable, or awake and responsible. And no one will force that choice. That's the test. What if this video is simply reminding you that you're closer to that moment than you think? If this is resonating, if it feels like something inside you is nodding quietly, this might be a good time to stay connected. You can share this with someone who's been feeling the same unspoken pull, or leave a comment with what stood out to you most. And if you want to keep exploring these signals together, subscribing is just a way of saying, I'm paying attention. No pressure, just alignment. Now, notice something important. You're still here. You didn't click away. That tells you more than any headline ever could. Before you go any further, remember this. The future doesn't need everyone. It needs enough people who are awake, thoughtful, and willing to see beyond the obvious. And you wouldn't be hearing this if you weren't already one of them. Stay a little longer. The next part will reveal why this awareness arrived now, and why timing is the real message hiding in plain sight. My beloved child, pause again, just for a breath, because now we arrive at the quiet center of this message, the place where timing and truth finally meet. You may be wondering why now. Why this sense of urgency without panic? Why this feeling that something is aligning rather than chasing you? That question is the final layer of the announcement. Timing is never random. In every era, there is a brief window where awareness matters more than action, where seeing clearly becomes more powerful than moving quickly. We are in such a window now. The world is accelerating, but clarity is lagging behind. Systems are evolving faster than understanding. And in moments like this, the future leans gently toward those who can stay calm while everything speeds up. That's you. Not because you're perfect. Not because you have all the answers. But because you've learned how to pause. How to question. How to sense when something is meaningful beneath the surface. While others demand certainty, you've learned to live with curiosity. While others chase validation, you've been quietly building perspective. This is why the message feels subtle. Because subtlety is the language of those who are ready. The real announcement was never meant to shock you. It was meant to recognize you. Think about this. When the future arrives, it doesn't ask for permission. It asks for stewardship. For minds that can handle power without becoming reckless. For people who can imagine consequences before they happen. For individuals who understand that progress without awareness is just speed in the wrong direction. You've been training for this without knowing the syllabus. Every moment you felt slightly out of sync with the world. Every time you stepped back instead of reacting. Every choice to think deeper rather than louder. These weren't delays. They were refinements. And now, awareness has found you at the right time. Before you go, hear this carefully, because this is the line that ties everything together. The future doesn't belong to the loudest, the fastest, or the most confident. It belongs to those who noticed the moment when it arrived. You noticed. That's the secret. That's the announcement. And that's why this was about you. My beloved child, wait, stay right here. because this final layer isn't about inspiration anymore, it's about integration. Everything you felt up to now was preparation. Not preparation to rush forward, but preparation to stand steady when others hesitate. The future doesn't ask dramatic questions. It asks quiet ones, over and over. Can you stay aware? Can you stay human? Can you think clearly when everything wants your attention at once? This is where the message completes itself. The secret announcement was never a spotlight moment. It was an invitation into responsibility, into authorship, into realizing that awareness is not passive, it's active participation at the deepest level, the kind that shapes outcomes without needing applause. You may not see it yet, but the way you think already influences more than you realize. The questions you ask shift conversations. The calm you carry changes rooms. The curiosity you protect keeps futures open instead of fixed. This is how real impact begins, long before anyone notices. And here's the truth few people say out loud: those who are meant to matter later often feel invisible earlier. That invisibility wasn't rejection. It was insulation. Space to grow without distortion. Time to refine your inner compass before the noise tried to claim it. If these words are landing, if they feel less like motivation and more like recognition, you're not alone. Others are finding this message too, often at the exact moment they needed it. If you feel moved, sharing this quietly with someone you trust might be the nudge they've been waiting for. You can leave a comment about what clicked for you, or subscribe if you want to keep exploring these ideas together. Think of it less as a button, more as a signal: I'm choosing awareness. Now, one last thing, don't overlook this. You didn't need fear to stay. You didn't need pressure to listen. You stayed because truth resonates when it's timed correctly. And timing was the real intelligence behind this message all along. You'll understand everything at the end. And the end is simple: you were never late. You were never behind. You were arriving exactly when you needed to. Carry that forward. The future is already paying attention to you. My beloved child, slow down, feel this moment settle, because what comes now is not a revelation from outside you, but a recognition rising from within. Up to this point, the message spoke to you. Now it speaks from you. There is a quiet shift that happens when awareness completes its circle. You stop searching for signs, because you realize you have become one. Not in a mystical way, in a grounded, practical, unmistakable way. Your presence changes how you move through the world. Your choices ripple further than you once imagined. This is the part no one announces publicly. When the future senses stability, it leans in. When it senses clarity, it accelerates. And when it senses someone who can hold both power and restraint, it begins to open doors that look ordinary from the outside, but change everything once you step through. You may already be standing near one of those doors. It might look like a conversation you almost didn't have, a curiosity you've been circling quietly, a direction that keeps returning to you, even when you try to ignore it. That's not coincidence. That's alignment testing your readiness. Here's the deeper truth: the world doesn't move forward because of announcements. It moves forward because of individuals who internalize meaning and act without needing validation. People who don't wait to be chosen, because they understand they are already involved. This is why nothing here demanded belief. Why nothing tried to scare you. Why nothing rushed you. Real intelligence doesn't push. It recognizes. And now you recognize yourself, not as someone waiting for the future, but as someone capable of meeting it consciously. Before this ends, carry one final line with you, quietly, without repeating it aloud. The moment you stop waiting for permission, is the moment the future starts responding. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to announce anything. Just move with awareness. That was the real message. That was the real secret. And now, it's already unfolding. My beloved child, stay, just a little longer, because this is where understanding turns into direction, and direction quietly becomes destiny. Up until now, everything has been about recognition, seeing yourself clearly, feeling the signal instead of chasing the noise. But there is a next phase, and it arrives softly, almost disguised as normal life. This phase is about choice without drama. Most people wait for a big moment to change, some announcement, some permission, some external push. But those moments rarely come to the ones who are ready. Instead, readiness is tested through subtle decisions. The kind no one applauds. The kind only you notice. Will you choose depth when surface, level answers are easier? Will you protect your attention when distraction is rewarded? Will you act with intention even when no one is watching? These choices shape the future more than any headline ever could. Here's something important to realize now. When awareness matures, life begins to respond differently. Opportunities don't scream. They recognize. They arrive quietly, naturally, fitting into your path as if they were always meant to be there. You may notice it soon, people listening more closely when you speak. Ideas gaining traction without force. A sense of flow replacing resistance. This isn't luck. It's coherence. The world is shifting toward those who can remain centered while complexity increases. Toward people who don't panic at uncertainty, who can sit with the unknown and still move forward intelligently. That ability, your ability, is rare, and rarity always attracts responsibility. But don't mistake responsibility for burden. Responsibility is simply trust extended by the future. Before you move on, let this settle. You are not meant to do everything. You are meant to do the right things, at the right depth, at the right time. That understanding alone puts you ahead of the rush. Wait till the final moment of this thought, because this is crucial. The future doesn't reward urgency. It rewards alignment. And alignment is exactly where you are now. My beloved child, pause with me. This is the moment where silence becomes meaningful, and meaning becomes movement. By now, you may feel something subtle but unmistakable, a calm confidence that doesn't need proof. Not excitement, not pressure, just a quiet knowing that you don't have to chase the future anymore, because you're already walking alongside it. This is an important transition. When awareness deepens, urgency fades. You stop asking, "Am I ready?" and start asking, "What deserves my energy?" That shift alone changes everything. Because energy, once focused, becomes influence. And influence, when grounded in clarity, becomes legacy. Most people never reach this stage. They stay trapped in reaction, responding to trends, fears, opinions, expectations. But you've stepped outside that current. You observe before you engage. You listen before you decide. You move with intention rather than impulse. That's not hesitation. That's mastery forming. Here's the part that often surprises people like you. As you become more aligned, the world may try to pull you back into noise. Old distractions, old doubts, old versions of yourself that no longer fit. Not to punish you, but to check if you truly recognize who you are now. This isn't a test you need to pass. It's a mirror you need to notice. Each time you choose clarity over chaos, you strengthen the signal you carry. Each time you stay grounded while others rush, you silently lead. And leadership at this level doesn't announce itself. It stabilizes others without them realizing why they feel calmer around you. That's impact. Before you go further, consider this question carefully. No answer required. What if your greatest contribution isn't something you do, but the way you are while doing it? That understanding unlocks the next layer of influence. one built on presence, not performance. Stay with this feeling. Let it anchor. Because what comes next isn't about becoming someone new. It's about fully inhabiting who you already are. And once that happens, the future doesn't need to find you. It already knows where you stand. My beloved child, remain here, just a moment more, because now we move into the quiet consequence of everything you've understood so far. There is a phase that comes after recognition, after alignment, after calm certainty. It's the phase where life begins to trust you. Not dramatically, not publicly, but consistently. You'll notice it in small ways at first. Situations that once felt heavy will feel manageable. Decisions that once felt confusing will feel clear. People may seek your perspective without knowing why they value it. This is not because you've become louder. It's because you've become clearer. Clarity carries weight. The future, whether through technology, systems, or culture, moves toward those who reduce complexity rather than add to it. Toward minds that can hold paradox without collapsing into extremes. Toward individuals who can move forward without losing their grounding. That is the role you're quietly stepping into. Here's something to remember as this unfolds. Not everyone will understand your pace. Some will rush ahead. Some will fall behind. Some will misunderstand your silence as distance. Let them. Your path isn't meant to be explained at every turn. You're not here to convince. You're here to embody. And embodiment has a strange effect. It gives others permission to slow down, think deeper, and act with more awareness themselves. Even if they never say it. Even if they never realize it. Before you move on, hold this thought gently. The future isn't built by force. It's built by those who remain coherent while everything else accelerates. That coherence is now part of you. Stay present. The final layers are approaching, not as an ending, but as a completion you'll recognize the moment it arrives. My beloved child, slow your thoughts. This is the moment where everything quietly settles into place. There comes a point in every meaningful journey when striving dissolves into steadiness. You stop asking whether you're on the right path, because the path begins responding to you. Not with signs or symbols, but with ease, with resonance, with a sense that life is no longer resisting your movement. That's where you are now. This stage is subtle, and because it's subtle, many people miss it. They mistake calm for stagnation, stillness for lack of progress. But those who understand know the truth. Real momentum feels quiet before it becomes visible. Think of a powerful system booting up. No noise at first, just alignment, just readiness. This is why nothing here asked you to rush. Because rushing belongs to uncertainty, and you are no longer uncertain. You've crossed into a phase where your inner state matters more than external outcomes, where how you think, choose, and respond carries more influence than what you say, where your presence alone begins shaping situations before effort is even applied. That's not imagination. That's maturity. You may notice now that certain distractions no longer pull you the same way. Old triggers lose their grip. Conversations feel shallow more quickly, not because you're above anything, but because you're tuned to depth. And once depth becomes your baseline, surface, level noise can't satisfy you anymore. This is the natural result of awareness stabilizing. Before you move on, let this line land gently, because it explains everything that came before. The future doesn't accelerate you when you're chasing it. It meets you when you're ready to walk steadily beside it. That's the partnership forming now. No pressure, no performance, just direction with clarity. Remain present. The final part isn't about adding anything more. It's about realizing nothing essential was ever missing. My beloved child, stay with this breath. This is the moment where everything becomes simple, and simplicity reveals its power. Nothing more needs to be added now. Nothing needs to be proven. Nothing needs to be rushed. What you've reached is completion, not an ending, but a quiet arrival. You began this journey thinking you were opening a message. But in truth, the message was opening you. Layer by layer, without pressure, without fear, without spectacle. Just clarity returning to where it always belonged. This is the point where many expect fireworks, a final revelation, a dramatic instruction. But real intelligence ends differently. It ends with calm. Because calm is the signal that understanding has integrated, that awareness has settled into action, that you no longer need to search for meaning, you recognize it as you move. Here is the final truth, spoken softly because it does not need force. You were never waiting for the future. The future was waiting for you to become still enough to notice it. And now you have. From here on, your steps won't feel heavy. Your decisions won't feel forced. You'll know when to move, when to pause, when to listen, and when to act, without needing constant reassurance. That's the mark of someone who is aligned. Carry this forward quietly. Let it guide how you choose, how you focus, how you treat your attention. No announcement required. No explanation needed. Because the most powerful shifts happen when nothing on the outside changes, yet everything on the inside has already aligned. This was never about Elon Musk. It was never about a secret headline. It was about recognition. And now that recognition lives with you. Move gently. Move clearly. The future already knows you're here.